Today in this quick answer, Bo Grifford asked if I could do a video on keystoning, and yeah, I certainly can, and it's very easy actually. So let's go ahead and get started. And by the way, a link to Bo's YouTube channel will be down below in the description, so please do check that out. He's doing some pretty cool stuff over there. So let's go ahead and get going with opening up HitFilm Express. Again, that's the free video editor from FX Home. And I'm going to create a new project here in the upper left hand corner, and I'm going to do a 1080p video at 30 frames per second. Obviously you set this to whatever you normally work in. That's my normal configuration. And here we go. So let's get started. Now the problem is that whenever you project something, but your projector is not straight on with the object, or if the object itself is not flat, let's say it's tilted or angled or whatever, you're going to get what they call keystoning. And like here's an example. Basically the top's wider than the bottom, and anything projected on this is going to look that way. So people's heads are going to be fatter than they should be, and their feet are going to look skinnier. And so we need to correct this. So let's take a look at an example on how to do that. Just for this test, I'm going to bring in this photo of a garage door, and I really only picked this because it's square, basically, or rectangular, and so you can see the keystoning a lot easier in this example. So we're just going to kind of rock and roll with this. Now this is a picture, could be a video, it makes zero difference, it's done exactly the same way, so we're just going to use that. I'm going to go ahead and drag this picture over to my timeline, and I'm going to need to resize it to fit my video image. So I'm going to use my scroll wheel to zoom out. By the way, I could also use my little zoom selector over here, and I'm just going to grab one of these corners, and we're just going to make this thing fit the video more or less. Again, this is just an example, so the picture and that part doesn't really matter. Also too, I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to expand this this out so this picture runs longer in the video that I'm creating. It's expanded it out to almost a minute there, and it's going to come in a little ways here, and then I'm going to cut this in two because we're going to do like a before and after basically. So I'm going to use my little slice tool right here, which is the razor blade, and I'm going to cut that guy in two. So now we have two videos, this one and this one. Now on the second one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my correction here. So this is just going to give us this before and after. Again, you really wouldn't do this, but for this example. And to do the correction, I'm going to come over here to Effects, and I'm going to search for Warp, W-A-R-P. And actually, there's a whole bunch of things named Warp, but the one that I want is called Quad Warp, right down here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down my left mouse button. I'm going to drag it over to the second garage door image, or video, if you will. And I just plunk it down, and it doesn't really look like a whole lot happened, except over here it's moved us to the control tab, and it's opened up our quad warp so we can adjust the settings if you want to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up these position settings just so I want you to see them change as I move them up here. So I'm going to zoom out just slightly again so I can see my quad warp. See these little cross dots here? These are my quad warp handles, and if I get a hold of this guy and I drag this in, then I have warped the picture in just like that. So just like as before, our picture was too wide at the top. Basically, I'm narrowing the picture in the video, so when we project it, it works out, straight, basically. Now, the reason why I don't recommend you move these by hand is it's really hard to get them exact. And typically with a quad warp, you're gonna, in this case, you're going to want to have it, like a certain number of, pixels in on this side and a certain number of pixels in on that side, and you don't want to move this up or down. We're not warping it this way. I mean, you may have situations where you do, but in this simple example, we're not. So instead of manually moving these little dots around, what I recommend actually is you come back over here and you type in numbers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset these, so basically get rid of all the movements that I had. And the way you do that is you right click on the effect in the quad warp here, and I used to do reset, which is also Control R. And now they're all back to the way they were. And by the way, these coordinates are from the center point of the screen. So that's why this is minus 844 over here, and that's plus 844 over there, and all that sort of stuff. So that's where those coordinates come from, so in case that confuses you. But it's a lot, again, more exact if we just type in numbers here. And so I happen to know that about 780 is about right. So I'm going to do minus 780 here and hit enter. And on this one, I'm going to do plus 780. There we go. So I'm just clicking on these and I'm just typing the numbers and hitting enter. And again, it's just a lot more precise. Notice that I guarantee I didn't move this dot up or down, which is really easy to drag, because these coordinates have stayed exactly the same throughout the process by just, again, double clicking and typing in the number there. So that's what I would recommend for your quad warp effect, how to manage that. And then basically we're all done. So let me go ahead and show you an example here of how this works. This is kind of our before and after. So here's before, and there's after. Definitely a lot better. So now exactly how much to warp your image and everything really depends on obviously how much your projector's tilted or the object is projecting on is tilted. So I can't really tell you that. So you can definitely just kind of play around with these until it looks right, basically. And then once you kind of know what the position is, then you can actually, like, even them up, type them in basically to make sure they're all nice and even and straight if you did some manual mousing around. Well, that's about it for the video, so I certainly appreciate Bo's question, and I hope that helped. And until I see you later, please like and subscribe if you enjoy what you see here, and I'll talk to you soon.